We've just had a session on building onto your mind, and now to talk about creating new universities and sustaining quality leadership in campuses. This seemed like night and day. What has been spoken seemed like so contrast to what we are talking about now, and the session to come looks like beyond degrees. So we are talking about different things. I hope the youngsters there really get it. And about creating new universities and sustaining quality leaderships, I would like to take it as one topic because without leadership, universities cannot be built. So we assume that leaderships are there to create new universities. My first question could be for Vice-Chancellor Santishree about creating, the Knowledge Commission that was set up in 2005 said that we need something like 1,500 universities to be set up by 2015. We are in 2026, and we have about 1,276 universities built so far, existing and the new ones. So we are still falling short, even as per 2015. My question is, do we need more number of universities with technology coming in, leveraging, connecting with students and everything? Do we really need this more number of universities? And if the number has not been made so far, where is the problem? Is there a lack of motivation to build new universities? What is it?
Thank you. Ellarkum vanakkam. I think basically it's not the issue of quantity, madam. It's an issue of quality. I think universities as sites of civilizational responsibility, not as creational factories. These are very important. Both the private and the public universities are doing very good service. But I think we have to redefine, as Swamiji said, the moral purpose of academic life. And there is an erosion of the meaning of teaching and research. And if you see, we need an intergenerational responsibility. You're right, the Knowledge Commission, I think numbers are not so important. I would rather stress on quality. Number two, I would stress on leadership as stewardship, from authority to institutional dharma. Meaning, I would say, from file movement to norm creation, and from compliance to intellectual direction, from visibility to credibility. And I also think that leadership means time to think. Like Swamiji said, none of us have time to even think. Structures for collaboration and conditions for disagreement without hostility. And I would also say that the NEP 2020 has done yeoman service, faculty as karma yogis, not as karmacharis. So capacity building as formation of the academic self, from reward to responsibility, from output to contribution, and from anxiety to excellence through detachment. I here agree with Swamiji on Advaita intelligence. I always say, while intelligence has become artificial, stupidity is still original. So I think we have to be very careful. So I would agree that numbers are important, but with it, madam, quality is equally important.
So we take the point that number doesn't matter, quality matters. But what would you say about the ailing public universities?
I would basically say about public universities is, madam, let's also not downplay the importance of public universities, because I studied from the Presidency College, Chennai. It is the only college to produce 2 Nobel Prize winners in physics. That is because they were rooted with Vedic mathematics, C.V. Raman and Subramaniam Chandrasekhar. So I think it's important, agreed, you read that the number of universities have gone up and state universities are starved of funds. Maybe we have to rethink how they can be funded through maybe private-public collaboration or through other means, because just waiting for government funds would be difficult. And here I would basically say that students should be treated in the age of AI as co-creators of knowledge. Because they come with enough information, madam. If I'm going to sit in the class and give them information, they will not be interested. I would have to rather connect them to become cognitively mature.
Yeah, good. So you still feel that, I mean, the history is there that public universities have created great people. And to go to Madam Sunaina, I think she's led Nalanda University, which again talks about history, you know, where we've had extraordinary higher education system during 5th to 13th century. And over a period of time, we've sort of forgotten all that. And now it is a nice thing. I think the earlier past President Abdul Kalam thought of this idea of naming a university in the name of Nalanda. And I hear that you have done a wonderful job by creating that university and with absolute sustainable aspects in the campus and all that. And I understand it is for postgraduate and research programs, mostly on liberal arts. Do we need 400 acres of land for such a university? Because India is a land with limited land availability.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, namaskar, and vanakkam to everyone. Thank you for the question. But before I come to Nalanda, let me just posit about the numbers, you know, the institutions that you raised earlier. We have about 1,200 and odd institutions, universities. Whether we need more, I think certainly yes, because India has the largest, over 65% of our youngsters are, you know, the alpha generation and then the beta generation. We do have multiplication of youngsters, you know. We do need it. You know, Vikasit Bharat, the aim is to create a knowledge society. And we are already working on that. So I think more the institutions, it's relevant that we teach our teachers, training the trainer is also important, because when you look at institutions, the number may be growing. The need to multiply the number is also there. But more essentially, what do we teach in the university? That's more important. You know, in that context, you brought up Nalanda. About 455 acres, you know, this is Nalanda. Let's not forget that. You know, that there's magic in the name. And Nalanda used to the first international university in the world, much before Oxford came into being. So you do look at the importance of the institution. Now, what have we done with over 455 acres, 300 acres of greenery? You know, I started courses on environment, and then I started on sustainable management and development, the MBA program, and the campus is the lab where the students are trained. You know, we have students, when I left, I had students from 38 countries. When I had entered the portal, there was one student international. So we need to redefine remodeling, to look at how we can teach new things. I think it's also important to look at whether the institutions are adaptable. We have to change with time. The question of AI is so significant. So how do the policy making also needs to be agile? We need to change with times. What do we teach our students? That's very important.
This I asked because recently the UGC has been bringing down the land requirement. You know, they're saying that particularly because urbanizing is taking place so fast, needs for housing and so many other important activities. If each campus is going to take about 100 acres, and if there are about 30 campuses, it means 3,000 acres of land is taken away.
Luckily,
so
madam,
they are bringing down the land requirement.
Luckily, Nalanda does not come under UGC. Fortunately, we come under Ministry of External Affairs. It's a different mandate.
No. I'm not saying you are under UGC. I know you are a university. UGC has brought up this thing for keeping in mind the need for land, for other purposes like agriculture, industry, housing, and all that. So with that in mind, they brought this rule. So that is the thing. I would like to put the next question to you, madam. I would ask you, education is all about a lot of discipline. You know, knowledge acquiring is, you need a certain discipline. And at the same time, campuses that are famous for, I mean, we also need, we are a democratic country. We need democracy in every aspect of life. And how much of democracy and how much of discipline is to be maintained in a campus?
Very good question, madam, and very difficult. Because I think I come from one of the most active universities of the country. And it's like sitting on a volcano, which is about to burst. I always joke to the ministry that we should get a hardship allowance and vice-chancellors. And you're right. But let me tell you, we have made certain things very, very clear. Protest, dissent is permitted. Violence and vandalism of public property not allowed. Because please remember, all public universities are run on taxpayers' money. And this is huge subsidies are coming in. Each student is being subsidized by 10 to 12 lakhs of taxpayers' money. And I think here we have to create young, responsible citizens, not anybody who thinks that they can take the law into their hands. And I agree with you that democracy brings in freedom brings responsibility. So they want the freedom, but they don't want the responsibility. And they're ready to talk about consequences, but not about the cause. What they did that they got these consequences. So I think here again, I would agree that with AI and others coming in, spirituality and inner, discipline comes from within. Whatever we say from without does not work. And I think in campuses, discipline is, because madam, the disruptors are only 10%, less than 10%. 90% of the students have come to study. They come from very marginalized sectors. They want to get into jobs. And because of this disruptive politics, even their futures are ruined because of this. So I agree with you, democracy with responsibility. If they don't agree on this, I think as leaders of universities, we have to draw a line. And let me tell you that in my experience of 4 years, the government of India, the ministry, everybody have been extremely cooperative. And we have been able to a large extent put a framework where we have set boundaries very clear.
I think your issue is pretty common among, it's kind of spreading to other campuses too, this kind of an, we need to think about it, definitely, and we have great leaders like you.
So, madam, we are the fountainhead of intellectual terrorism, which is more dangerous than real terrorism.
Your alumni strength shows that.
Yeah, but so, madam, we have also ministers in the cabinet. Nirmala Sitharaman, Jai Shankar, Amitabh Kant. We have 2 Nobel Prize winners. Amartya Sen as faculty and Abhijit Banerjee as student. So JNU has produced, I'm a product of JNU. So you can't say that, madam. I agree. We also, John Brito was there yesterday. He's also from JNU. So there she is there. So there are a lot of responsible people as well. I think the lunatic fringe should not define the large numbers.
So I reinforce what you're saying, like free thinking is very much needed among youngsters, or free thinking, but irresponsible behavior is something that...
We have to draw a line, madam. There's no...
That's one thing. And going from here, I'm just wondering about one other thing. Somewhere in, I think, during 1988 or something, the voting age was brought from 21 to 18. I wonder whether that is making a big difference among campuses. Is there, I mean, this, until it was 21, undergraduate students, we are expected to definitely get the knowledge. All youngsters must have the knowledge about what is happening around, about politics, economics, everything, sociology, anthropology, everything. They must have the knowledge. But when this voting age has been brought down, is there more attention on campuses because of this?
No, you're right to a large extent, madam. Student politics is no longer student politics because of this. It's become mass politics. And mass politics, should not be there on campuses. But unfortunately, I think you're right. You asked a very brilliant question. We can't do anything about it. And when they can decide the vote, they'll say we can decide other things as well. So it is extremely important that we maintain the balance between discipline, order, and democracy and dissent.
Let me come into this because I think unfettered freedom of any kind is not there in a constitutional provision as well. So when we do have activism on the campuses, I think as leaders, we should be mindful as to how do we tackle it. The disciplinary process per se needs to be clearly laid out. Any kind of vandalism, any kind of goondaism should not be allowed on the campus. I think it's very important that we have very tight-knit courses and we keep introducing new courses so that the knowledge industry grows, the interest in the subject grows. Let's challenge our students that there's something new coming up. I think it's very important to deal with that. And then let's not mix politics with education. Very often, this is something that comes into the institution, campuses. I dealt with one central university before coming to Nalanda, EFLU, and we had major problems, very similar to JNU. But once you have the parameters of discipline clearly laid out, nobody can really cross those boundaries. I think it's very important to focus on man-making education that we talk about. So are we giving them mere rules, or are we educating them in the true sense of the word? That's where I believe that our policies, our education system needs to be agile and adaptable to the changing times. We live in a very different multipolar world today. Things are changing so fast that we need to keep pace with it. And for that, I think we need to take our faculty into confidence. Leadership needs to be trained and retrained. The next line of leaders, do we have them ready in our campuses? I think that's very important, and the ethical quotient of education needs to be brought in. Merely fighting the negative elements on the campus, that's only a minor part of running the show. How do you lead the institutions forward? Do we bring in new things into it? I think that's the important question.
Yeah. I think we touched upon some very sensitive topics. Let's go back to the usual. We are talking about increasing the number of universities in terms of, maybe we can also include all the universities that need funding and ailing universities to be helped out, and private universities to be promoted. And there is a thing called now foreign universities coming in. What is our focus? I don't know. Is our focus on improving the number of our own universities and bringing? Yesterday when the NAC secretary was there, there was a question to him about international ranking like QS, and he said no, we don't fill into that. QS or higher education, Times Higher Education, we don't fill into that. We have our own ranking. So we do not want to compete with them on the ranking system, but then we want them to set up shop here. What does that mean like?
Let me come in here, ma'am. I think it's very, the NEP and Government of India has brought in this bill where the new international universities can come in. There are two aspects to it. One is the intercultural experience that the students get. That's the other is our students have been going abroad for study. So if we bring the institutions here, it could perhaps help them. That's one of the larger part of it. But the thing is that when we do have international universities, who's going to teach there? It's our own faculty. So I wonder how it's going to work out, you know?
Yeah, this is a new thing that is coming up. We have to wait and watch. You were talking about intercultural experiences and our students going abroad. So that this bringing foreign universities inside India would help our students, I mean, save on your forex maybe to be. Most of our students go away from here. Destination, it used to be USA, but today I think it's all almost, for a while maybe it is. Destination USA because they get to settle there. UK, USA, Europe, most of the countries, they go there and they settle there mostly. You know, most part of their life, they are there. And when they study here, are they going to get that visa to visit that country, or are they going to? No, this is not going to work that way, you know. This is not going to help them. And we should also remember that most of our students are less than middle class. And funding the education is very, very difficult for them. And they fund in spite because they think they get a future that is better than probably what the parents had. So we have to address those things like, you know, where is their future? Now, I think Prime Minister, I mean, all over the nation, we are talking about startups because that can create more employment. And so this is a very good thing that is happening to India right now. So the thing is about, we have to probably balance between public and the private initiatives and give sufficient motivation for the private universities to continue doing good. You know, because the number of universities that are from the private, where is their space? Are they being encouraged? Are they being at least not admonished? This is my question.
Can I?
Okay.
Very briefly, one point. I think you're right. You know, I like the question. Private universities need to be encouraged, but we also need to be a little mindful whether education is becoming too commercial, you know. So how do we balance the two? That's where I think we need to pause it and think.
I would rather take it to a larger issue of governance and what would you say, academic citizenship and autonomy. I agree with you. We are a democratic country. We have to balance between both the private and public. And let me tell you, private universities have done yeoman service where public universities have not been able to go. But still, if you see, there is a gap. The poorest of the poor only go to public universities. I think no university, let me all tell you all, in that way I must congratulate the central government and the Ministry of Education. JNU fees is still 10 and 20 rupees. Can any university in the world match it? And in the QS rankings, we are giving India the best rankings. And let me tell you, the largest number of marginalized sector come to Jawaharlal Nehru University. From 15 states of India, let me also congratulate the CUET has been more inclusive than the JNU entrance exam. We have got 15 students from 15 different states. And let me tell you another thing, madam, we have broken the myth that the cutoff between the open category and the reserved categories is more or less the same. We don't have to lower the marks for it. So this is another thing, give them an opportunity. I think both of us have to exist. Both of us have to help each other. We have to collaborate with each other. And at the same time, I think you asked about foreign universities. We have to be part of the global order. Let them come in. We shouldn't be protected for too long. I think this is a good thing the government is doing so that we have an idea how they govern themselves and how we can take their best practices and they can take our best practices. And I think I would rather say a good mixture. And here I think the private sector, I would like you to come more into education. I would rather say that the shortfall that we have in GDP, the government is able to give around only 3 to 4%. The rest should come from the private sector. And I would congratulate, like in the United States and West, that you people should get the best
We are now
universities.
reminded of our time. Just one more minute left. Just last line.
Yeah, I think government of India's mandate is social justice, you know. So therefore, in the public universities, no distinction. And the idea is to train the young minds who are interested in moving up the ladder, and so that we erase this distinction between haves and have-nots. Knowledge industry is all about how do we bring equity into it. If we look at NEP, the 4 parameters of it is, the most important is equity. So I think public institutions are already doing this. I think the private institutions should also take it up, perhaps in the form of fellowships, you know. Get private, connect with the industry, get fellowships, get the funding for the students, and also get new labs. You know, it's very important today in AI, we are talking about labster, virtual labs. So I think it's very important to get things done this way.
Like to say one line?
I would only agree that what to say, we have to go both private, public, international, and we are unique and universal as well.
Yeah, very nice. I would like to just close with this remark, right? We should not have it as poorest of the poor go to the public universities. It should be like lack of resources should not drive them. It should be the quality that they get that should drive them. And private institutions, when they come, we do, private institutions too get very poor, but fortunately the bankers support them in terms of scholarships. The government supports them in terms of, in Tamil Nadu particularly, 7.5% students who are coming from government schools are given priority and funding for the higher education institutions. And a lot of things are being done by both government and private, and I think we are there to provide better education for the youth, and particularly because higher education injects into the economy of the nation immediately. I think this is being looked into, and a lot more issues are there. I think we're running out of the time. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.